Welcome, I'm James Jenkins, and behind the camera I have Sean DIMITRIE, and this is What's Your Story, Vancouver.
When I was younger, it was definitely the experimental age. In my mid-teens, I experienced a few trauma-related issues, and it was my belief that those certain situations kicked me into full speed. You know, just not wanting to be part of people, or if I was around people, I wasn't doing good inside. And yeah, I mean, I think we're born addicts. I don't think we choose to be addicts. So if there's some sort of something in that brain that gets triggered by such thing as trauma or grief or something major or catastrophic in your life, as it did in mine, it just kicked me into full speed. And I literally, at a young age, it was simply alcohol, and then eventually it turned into, heavier drugs by the time I graduated from school.
Alcohol seems to be the real gateway.
Yeah, alcohol is the real gateway
drug.
Yeah.
Sure. So what worked for you, I guess, when you were in recovery? Like what was it? I'm sure, is it different for everybody, you think?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Is it different that people need different things? Or,
absolutely.
Yeah. What worked for you?
When I got into recovery, or just what got me into recovery?
Maybe talk about both.
Yeah. So I mean, when I came into recovery, I was done. Like I was truly done. And I think, there was nothing different from one day to the next. It just, short of me losing my son temporarily, which, didn't really even make me come in right away. But it's just very hard to explain, just that feeling of enough and defeat, right? And that's, and I mean, I had done it my way for so many years. And I decided I couldn't do it anymore. Like the hustle was done. So when I came in, what worked for me was listening to other people ahead of me and following suggestion. My story also includes treatment, so it's not everybody's story. There is other ways around getting clean or sober, but I believe I needed treatment, and I did in order to get my son back also. It was part and parcel. And I've built a solid support group of women and men in my life now. I do fellowship. I do AA and NA meetings. I do participate, in sweat lodges, which brings into the spiritual realm of my life. Now, with that said, I've been kind of lagging a little bit on that, but I definitely feel it, like not having that spirituality in my life as much as I used to. Helping others in recovery, coming in, is huge. I can't, it would be so selfish of me to get all this help and then not pass it on to the new person coming in behind me. And, I think that is just the cycle of what recovery is. And then, sometimes we have so much shame, and we have shame in addiction, but, I also have shame in recovery also. And there's a lot of times I don't want to tell people what's going on for me in my life, and I don't know, again, if that's the addict mind, but I do know that secrets will keep me sick. And as long as I'm telling just one person, some of my behaviors or some of my actions, and ultimately not picking up drugs or dope or alcohol or whatever that looks like, then I'm going to be okay. Because there's no wrong way to do recovery.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no wrong way at all.
It's whatever works.
It's whatever works, and every way every way is different. I don't want to be perfect. Perfect's boring. I don't want to have a boring life.
Why do you judge yourself being sober? Like, why do you? I think everyone does, but I mean, why do you have shame in recovery?
Well, I'm a people pleaser, so I have a lot of ego. So I have, I kind of have that like high ego, low self-esteem thing. So, and I have good days and I have bad days, like everybody, you're right. But sometimes those days can take people out if we're not careful and if we're not centered in the middle of recovery. And I do shitty shit sometimes too, right? Like I'm not a saint, and and I don't want to be. I don't hurt people, I don't steal, I don't rob, you know, my behaviors can be like, you know, not kind.
Oh, we're human, right?
And that's the reality of it is we're human.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody, you know, there's this thing that happens in recovery for a lot of people where, you know, they feel like they're clean, they're squeaky clean, and life is great, and this and that. And I don't like to share that message because that's not reality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not reality.
Yeah.
We're just like the next person next to us. I never want to be different than anybody else. Like, you know, I'm not a better addict. I'm not a better person. You know, I'm human.
Well, let's go back to the business side of things. Did you ever, like, when you were like going through your issues, did you ever like think, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that? Did that help you get back into or get into recovery? I want to have my own business. I want to start this, or did that come after the fact? Did that come like maybe you're documenting your journey, and then you think, you come up with the catchphrases, and then you're like, should I just start a business or?
Well, I've been a designer my whole life. I'm fortunate. I did complete high school, and I did complete extended education, like many years of it, 9 years. I mean, it could be a doctor, for, you know what I mean? Art is my passion. Fashion was a big part of my passion too, and design. And so my background is freelance graphic design. I still do it.
Yeah.
You know, I still have people come to me and do business identity, business startups. So I just decided that I wanted it, you know, and I got tired of doing what everybody else wanted me to do. And, you know, I ultimately, as the customer is always right, the person who's paying me, and it's just not necessarily what I believe is right. So this was the opportunity for me to do exactly, you know, with that clear head and the motivation and the opportunity to actually show up for the first time in my life, get stuff done. So I just moved forward and did exactly what I wanted to do.
Great. How did it go? From like you launched 3 years ago, and then
it kicked off. It kicked off like faster than I could keep up with. Wow. And you know what they say, that sometimes, you know, you can take yourself out as quickly as you take yourself in by not having enough.
Yeah.
And so it kicked off really feverishly, and but I'm a pretty hard worker, so I kept up with the motion of it. I get bored fast. You know, there was this thing where people said, "Oh, you should just stick with the original designs," and I'm like, every time I say, I'm just going to go back to those original designs, and then here I am, like, for example, just completed another series, and they're all different. But I can now, like, being in my third year, I can see the months that are good. So there's good months, and it's like a yearly thing, right? There's good months, bad months. You know, it demands a lot of money to keep it operating. You know, so it's resourcing that.
So is that one of the hurdles then? Is that one of the major hurdles?
Absolutely, that's one of my major hurdles, is finding people to come in and you know, financially back it up. You know, just for me to design, like an order I just designed is probably 10 grand, right? Small order.
Wow.
You know, so as you put that money out.
Is there any other hurdles that you, along the way, that you kind of jumped over?
Well, you know, it's funny, my dad recently passed away in January, which was my first experience of like heavy grief in recovery, and I would have to say the other hurdle is if I'm not operating, this business doesn't operate. And you know,
you gotta show up.
You gotta show up. And it took me, my dad was my biggest fan, right? And we were very, very close, and it took me a long time, like probably 5 months. I mean, literally just came out of those tears probably last month, right?
Exactly.
And I know people say, well, yeah, you gotta show up, obviously, but like even in my mind, like even if I wasn't connected, I could, you know, put a couple things on Instagram, I could do a little line, but I have to have that passion and that belief behind it in order for it to work. You know, even though I'm showing up, it's like I'm not showing up.
Yeah, if you don't believe in it, nobody else is going to believe in it.
So yeah.
What all took place, like, to get ready from idea to conception to the launch day? Like, what were the steps that you had to take?
So like from a creative, like from A to B?
Yeah, pretty much A to B, like from nothing to a line. Basically.
Okay, so each line depends on where I'm at, which we talked about a little bit earlier, like where I am personally. I do take a lot of notes on my phone. I hear little sayings that I relate to or that I would like to run with. And my clothing is higher end quality clothing. You know, my price point is not lower price point. You know, for these tanks, they're $50, but they're very good quality.
Yeah.
I do love to support local.
It's gonna hold one up here, actually. This tank top.
Yeah.
There's a great message on it. Bondage
of self. That was my first original. So they're higher end, and then they're, you know, my pricing is high also because I have to, you know, 10% of each sale goes back into supporting others. Oh God, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so I just start writing notes. You know, I start getting ideas, like the wheels start rolling, and you know, eventually I'll sit down in front of my laptop and kind of build off of my blanks, like what kind of clothing do I want to use, and then yeah, all of a sudden the messages, like I'd be lying if I said my first message I put down was the one I use. Like sometimes I'll start and then kind of look at it as a whole, because I have to, like, I have a lot of different people who buy these clothing, you know, and different age brackets and different body shapes and, you know, whatnot. So men, women, youth. So I just kind of have to build around all of that and make sure that I have something for everyone.
And like sourcing out the clothing, and like who did you pick for, like, to, like, I don't know, some people use, what's that really popular one that can supply it? T-shirts for
American Apparel.
American Apparel, that kind of stuff. Yeah, sorry, but not to name drop them, but was it hard to find someone that you kind of liked?
Well, my original plan in my business plan was I really wanted to use local providers. I did build something with Public Myth, but I just couldn't. My pricing and the amount that I was printing, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't working out. So, but I do like to use companies that are like, what's the word? Equitable or I can't think of the right word.
Eco-friendly?
Eco-friendly, and you know, not mass-produced and better quality materials.
Exactly.
And I need to be able to see what I'm buying, right, before I put my money into it.
Who comes up with the designs of each shirt? Or you obviously you pick the designs and kind of stuff. Like, is there a process to that? Is like each line have a different?
Well, my original, so you can see this was my original, like the scripty kind of flowy font.
Yeah.
That's kind of was, you know, where I was a few years ago, and
I mean, even in the cut of the t-shirt or the that kind of stuff.
Well, so this cut actually is really important to me. The kind of flowy cut, it's called, because I also deal, a lot of people in recovery have. Well, there's two issues: eating disorders, right, and body dysmorphia. And then also people come into recovery and they tend to put on some weight right off the beginning. Their body's storing. So I have to accommodate those two things. So I've done, you know, the flow cut is really beneficial for that kind of thing, the women who like to cover up or feel good at the same time. So my sizing goes all the way up to 2X. And then, you know, my Party Sober line and my more edgy line kind of was more the cropped hoodies and that kind of look. I mean, they sell great too, but then I disappointed all the people. You know, he's just trying to please everyone.
Exactly. You
can't please everyone.
It looks like it'd be great for the gym as well, like some of the stuff.
So that is the other thing. So the gym has become very important in my life over the last couple of years. And I have a huge following of people in wellness and yoga and gym. So a lot, like all my leggings are high quality, you know, good leggings. My hoodies, I wear all of these tanks are, you know, the proper materials for the gym, tight fitting, kind of good. But yeah, I mean, whenever I go to the gym and any of this stuff, I do actually have a wellness line of messages. So, and a lot of yoga studios buy my stuff.
What's been the reaction? Like, if people see you wearing this and they go, oh, they ask you, come up and ask you, where'd you get that? Or like, what?
Yeah, so I mean, that was part of the message, right? Is I've had people message me across the world who have bought my stuff and said that they actually have been stopped and had a conversation with somebody about the shirt that they were wearing. And that created the conversation that needed to happen to get somebody help, you know, somebody the help they needed. And I mean,
power
a lot.
of a t-shirt, right?
Yeah, the power of the little white t-shirt or the little black t-shirt, whatever that it is. And I mean, a lot. That was the original motive. Like on my business plan is like, we need to get this out
message,
there. You know, there's a whole anonymous platform in the fellowships, but that's not who I am. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very mindful and respectful of what that looks like. But for recovery, recovery is multifaceted, multi-level. Not everybody does fellowship. Yeah. Right? So we're here to say, like, you know, I am not the picture of what people would think addiction is. Although I could show you some pictures and you would be horrified of what I actually looked like when I came in. But, you know, just breaking that stigma down and, sharing words. Exactly. Right? Conversation is how it all starts, how anything in life starts.
You mentioned somebody saw or ordered clothing from you from another country. Is that through social media, like Instagram?
Yeah, so social media, Pinterest. I get a lot of people from Europe who see stuff on Pinterest, which is, who knew? Yeah. A lot of social media, my Instagram accounts, and I've done a lot of interviews. I was down in LA for the Oscars, and I had the shirts in the, what do you call them, bags? The grab bags.
The gift bags, grab bags.
Yeah. So
how was that experience? Sorry.
Well, it was in my old hometown. I used to live down in California for 8 years, so it was nice to be down that way. I'm not starstruck. It's not my thing. I've been, you know, with my background, with my family, I've been around a lot of famous people. So, but at the same time, it was, you know, a great experience. It was good for Addictive Designs, where we were at. 6 months in. It was perfect for the business. It couldn't have happened at a better time. And it was I had a lot of people come to me for interviews and whatnot, and it was a good opportunity for me to learn how to engage with you guys, because now I'm fully aware of how there could be, you know, certain things can be drawn out of it to make it sound way worse than what it was, or whatever that looks like. So, and I've also realized that I love doing it. Yeah. Like I love talking to you guys.
That's great.
Big part of it.
How did you get asked to go down there? How did that whole thing happen?
A friend of mine contacted me, who was putting in bars of soap, like organic, natural soap. She said, you know, you should pitch this in and see if you could be one of us. And,
one thing led to the next.
One thing led to the next.
Nice.
Yeah.
3 years in, what's some advice you would give somebody that is starting an apparel line or just wants to start a business?
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm still not profiting off of this. I do it. You have to be truly passionate around what you're doing. The business makes money, but you know, between giving back, it's like you have to bootstrap a lot of the money. Like a lot of it's out a lot of the time until it sells, you know, and don't give up. If you have a mission behind your clothing and a passion behind your clothing, I mean, I've heard it takes 5 years. Yeah, I believe that.
It's patience, I guess.
It's patience.
Right? And you're getting good feedback, so it's not that it sucks.
Yeah. So I get great feedback. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the quality of the clothing is very important to me. You know, I get people who bitch about the pricing, but the clothing's not for you then, right? They go buy something somewhere else. It's just like the quality means a lot to me.
Well, it's like you said, it's going to a good cause. There's a percentage of that that's going back to the community.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These people are donating when they're buying something and they're getting something, but they're also donating and helping somebody out.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. There's no reason to bitch. Another advice question: someone that's struggling right now with addiction or anything that's going on in their life, do you have any advice for anyone that should be like trying to seek help or is dealing with something in drugs, alcohol, or
Well, I do know when you're in it, I personally felt like I was like terminally unique. I thought I was the only one who was going through what I was going through. So I didn't feel like I had that voice to reach out and say like, you know, this is who I am. This is the severity of what it is. But I mean, if I had any advice, like you're not alone. Yeah. Like we are all the same. Our stories may be slightly different, but our bottoms are all the same, right? That defeat that like the drugs don't work anymore. The, you know, you're just covering the shame up from the day before and the day before, and you just don't want, eventually what happens is you don't want to feel.
Have you ever done or known anybody to seek one-on-one professional help? Or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So there's also, there's, you know, if you are trying to get a loved one help, there's interventionists that I know many of, they're my friends. You know, I've just launched a new company for sober coaching and sober companion.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe talk about
so
that.
it's called Right Sized. Sometimes that, you know, I'll either be taking people coming out of private treatment centers that aren't quite ready to do, you know, kind of bridging that gap from life to treatment. It's scary when you come out of treatment. I know I was in it for 5 months and I felt like I had to relearn my whole life. Like I was fortunate I had built a nice, strong support group, and I was fortunate I went to a treatment center that engaged throughout day-to-day stuff. I wasn't in a hidden bush in treatment, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not for everybody right off the back, right? So I'm willing to show up whatever way I can every day to get you the help that you need, or the conversation. Like I can assure you I've done everything that somebody is going to come up to me and say, or I've been through, you know, who needs brownie points for this? But like I've done it all, I've been through it all, and I've gotten out of it all. And I want to be able to help whoever isn't willing to do anything else, but you know,
just give
hard
somebody
getting
hope
around people when you're first, you know, because the other thing is addiction isolates you.
Yeah.
Well,
just giving somebody hope, I guess. That there is a light at the end of the tunnel, maybe, or because from my observations, it seems like a lot of people that are really on the skids, like downtown Vancouver somewhere, like it just seems like they're stuck in a routine, or just stuck in I guess they're in survival mode, I guess, but it just seems like there needs a way to break that cycle.
Well, I mean, the downtown east side has a lot of supports in place down there. There are harm reduction down there, mainly harm reduction. I'm abstinence-based. I believe in using it, and don't get me wrong, I used it. I know it saves people's lives, but it's not what I feel is the right way for recovery. I think that we need to feel absolutely everything now, and I know there isn't. I mean, the bottom line is there's not enough available for. I mean, addiction. It's everywhere, right? Like, and so the downtown east side provides that harm reduction structure where they.
What's harm reduction?
So giving out needles,
you know,
on site down there. They have a lot of shelters down there for. Women and men, I'm sure. I just know more of the women's shelters. And then, methadone, methadose, Suboxone, like handed out, and just getting them off of the street drug. It
should be more about like replacing something negative with something positive and healthy in your life, I guess, right?
Well, I just feel like they've given up on it, like us, right? And I know personally so many people who, like, never, and me included, nobody ever thought I would get clean. Like, not a chance. You know, they didn't. And so many people. I have, friends that I used to party with back in the days, same thing, who have come in, recently. And they too, like, if we can get clean, anybody can get clean. That's the bottom line. So.
Exactly.
But it's a daily reprieve. It's like anything, you have to work on your recovery every day, like every single day. You just have to find that balance in life.
All right. Well, maybe talk about your new line coming up in a couple of weeks. We can go in the other room and take a look at them.
Well, I don't actually have any samples here because it literally went to print this morning. I've been working feverishly on it all weekend. Unfortunately, I was hopeful that I would. But my new line is a hero line. So I talk about heroes. I talk about spirituality again. It's a little bit edgy. I've incorporated some things beyond the t-shirt. So I've incorporated long kind of t-shirt dresses, jackets, like not just hoodies, lots of hoodies, track pants, you know, with the messages written all over it.
Is it directly B2C, or can people find you somewhere else besides like online websites?
Well, I like to do conventions. Okay. So there are recovery conventions. Again, this costs money, right, to get the word out. Yeah. A lot of money to be able to get around and do these conventions and get booths. And I know which one. I've done them all. Like I've done the wellness, I've done the women's, I've done, you know, but the ones where my stuff sells is in recovery conventions, and they are all over North America. But you know, so it's finding ways to be able to do that, right? Because every time I go do a trip like that, it costs, you know, $5-6 grand just to get the order together, and it's just not having that expendable money out there, like. So
can someone like order on? Do you have a website where people can order your line?
Yep, I do have I have a website, addictivedesigns.ca.
.ca.
Yeah, not .com. And all my stuff is on there. And the message is on there. A lot of, you know, all the pictures of the women on there are all in recovery, which I find funny too, because people, again, it's like breaking that stigma of what people think, you know, what an addict looks like. I've had people complain, well, your models are too good looking. They shouldn't be. And I'm like, you need to get addicts on there or alcoholics on there. And I'm like,
and there they are.
They are. Yeah, you know, we didn't get clean to.
They're real people.
They're real people. Yeah.
Well, you can definitely get all her links in the description below. And thanks for watching, and thank you so much, Heidi, for being on the show. Please like, share, and subscribe to her channel as well. And see you next time.
What's your story, Vancouver? Our city, our stories.